morning, everyone. Welcome to a brand new episode of the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mehrob Fatemi. We got a packed show lined up for you guys today. Obviously, at the top of the show, we got to talk about the Boston Celtics Knicks series. Jason Tatum going down with what looked like a really scary injury. We have a lot to talk about there, as well as the Knicks pushing the Celtics to the brink of elimination, the defending champs, obviously. We have a lot to discuss with that game 4, and that's how we'll start the top of the show. From there, we'll move over to the Golden State Warriors Timberwolves series. Obviously, Jimmy Butler not having his best game last night. We'll have a lot to say about that, and as well as the Timberwolves, how they've been really pushing the Warriors to the brink of elimination without Steph Curry in the lineup, now going up 3-1 to taking a 3-1 series lead. Also, if you guys did not see, the NBA lottery happened last night. The Dallas Mavericks finishing with the number 1 overall pick. So we'll have more of a discussion about Cooper Flagg, how that's going to transpire in Dallas, and how that all ended up the way it did, because there were some crazy odds last night, and we have a lot to talk about. And what I call it, if we're going to call March Madness, the NCAA tournament March Madness, this deserves to have the label of madness on it. And if you guys stick around for that segment, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about there. From there, we're also going to discuss, we're going to preview the other 2 series tonight. The Pacers-Cavs. Pacers are looking to seal the deal, punch their ticket into the Eastern Conference Finals. And also, we have the Oklahoma City Thunder and Denver Nuggets Game 5, which honestly, on paper, is the biggest game of this year's NBA playoffs. Top from start to finish, in terms of depth, in terms of competition, in terms of what it would mean for both of these teams for a win. So we'll have a lot to discuss there. But before I move any further, I'd like to remind you guys to please like and follow the show for more GSMC Sports Network content. Also, we get a number of questions from viewers that come in during the show. So to ensure that your question gets read on air, I ask that you use the tips and donations link at gsmcpodcast.net. This puts your question at the top of the list so I see it, and it also really helps out the show. Again, the link is gsmcpodcast.net for all your questions and comments. But let's get right into it here. And you guys can probably see it on my face right now. It's not exhaustion that you see. Yeah, we saw a Game 4 last night to start off the night that honestly, it was one of the best Game 4s, probably one of the better Game 4s of the playoffs so far. Both teams going back and forth between the Celtics and the Knicks. Both teams going back and forth down the stretch, especially in the fourth quarter. Jason Tatum and Jalen Brunson trading baskets back and forth. And for it to end the way that it did, I'm not mad that the Knicks won. I'm honestly, part of me, it was a 50-50 chance for both of these teams. Whoever was going to win this, I said before this game was played last night for my show yesterday, whoever won this game was going to win the series. And I really thought it was going to be a close game down the stretch. I thought the Celtics would pull it out just because of their experience, because of their talent, because of their shot making. I thought they really figured it out in Game 3. And they kind of did. Especially Jason Tatum finishing with 42 points. Having 20 points in the first half, he showed up and showed out in one of his best playoff performances of his career. Nowhere, this stacks up with one of his best, easily. This stacks up with Game 6 against Milwaukee. This stacks up with Game 7 against Philadelphia. This stacks up with Game 4 against Philadelphia. This was one of his best performances. And on the other side, of course, there's Jalen Brunson, there's Mikal Bridges, there's Karl-Anthony Towns that showed up and showed out. A bunch of guys. It was a phenomenal game all around. And props to New York Knicks because they played their hearts out. They played probably their best game of the series so far, especially down the stretch. Jalen Brunson finishing with 39. Karl-Anthony Towns going for 23 and 11. Mikal Bridges going for 23, showing why he was worth 5 first-round picks, showing up big down the stretch of this game, Mikal Bridges. The whole Knicks squad showed up and showed out, especially their starting lineup. The stars were out last night for the Knicks. So major props to them, putting on easily the best game of the playoffs so far. In terms of performance, in terms of everything. I wish I could put this on right now because there is nobody. When I tell you, I'm trying to keep myself out of this. I'm trying to stay composed here. I'm a Celtics fan. I've said it before on the show. As much as I try to keep my Celtics takes out of this show, I do. I try to keep it non-biased. The Knicks are one of the best teams in the league. They deserve to be in this series. They deserve to win this series. They outplayed us at the end of game 1 and game 2. They came back in both of those games showing off their grit, something that we've said they lack nowadays. Game 3, we want to say it was a must-win game for the Celtics in game 3, similar to game 2 with the Thunder and the Nuggets. You give the Nuggets a pass, you give the Knicks a pass. Game 4, the Knicks stars showed up and showed out, and it was a close game down the stretch all the way through. Until about 5 minutes left, Knicks went up by 5 off of Mikal Bridges' dunk. And on the other side, right after the dunk gets hit, all you hear Mike Breen on the call, all you hear from Mike Breen is saying, Jason Tatum's hurt. Jason Tatum is hurt bad. He's writhing in pain. And then you just show him on the floor, spinning around, grabbing that left ankle, writhing in pain, crying, going through the tunnel in a wheelchair, not being able to put any pressure on that right leg. And then you see the replay of the injury. A non-contact injury, just Tatum stepping back, putting all of his pressure on that right foot to explode off of that right foot. All the pressure of his body weight on that right Achilles, and it just snapped. It's not 100%. It's not confirmed, but I'm 90% sure, 95% sure that we just saw Jason Tatum tear his Achilles last night. In one of the most unprecedented fashions, in a game where he went off for 42 points, one of his best playoff performances in NBA of his career. In Celtics franchise history, this is up there that was the type of game that Tatum was playing. 16 of 28 from the field, 7 of 16 from 3. He showed up and showed out, put the team on his back, and said, give me the keys, I'll take us to the promised land. Try to make it a 2-2 series, bring it back to Boston for a game 5. Make the series interesting again. Shut all the haters up, saying that he needs to do more, he needs to take more of the load, this, that, and the other. He shut everybody up. He did it all. He was doing it all. And then the fourth quarter happens. If it wasn't for my bosses at the GSMC Sports Network content, I would put this jersey on right now. And I'm probably immediately after the show is over, I'm going to put this on. Because this is a day to appreciate Jason Tatum. This is a day the NBA world saw last night, and I've seen it everywhere, that this was bigger than basketball last night. That injury felt bigger than basketball. It hurt to watch because a player like Jason Tatum that shows up every night, that tries to be a model citizen, that tries to do the best he can, stay out of trouble, stay out of the news, help his team win. All he wants to do is win and see his teammates succeed. See the city of Boston succeed. That's all he wants. That's all he's proven. And to go down the way he did, it's beyond anything I can even. It just, of all people this could have had, like, you obviously don't prey on anybody's downfall and anybody's injuries. That's the worst thing you can ever do. Not only as a sports fan, but like in general. You don't do that. You don't prey on other people's downfalls, especially injuries, especially something like this. A 27-year-old in the middle of his prime with a super team that is also being talked about that's most likely going to be broken up in the offseason. This now opens the door to a Kristaps trade, a Drew Holiday trade, and if not more than that, who knows what ownership is going to decide to do this offseason. But this is the end of an era in Boston. I believe this series will end in 5, if not 6 games. I don't think the Celtics will win Game 5, but in some miraculous fashion that they win Game 5, the series ends back in New York, unfortunately. And it sucks. It really does. I Like, to have to come on. This is worse. I haven't felt something. As a sports fan, it's one thing to lose your star player in the regular season to some like minor injury that they're out for 2 months. It's one thing to lose your star player in the regular season when you know your team isn't going anywhere. It's one thing to know that you lose your star player in the regular season and it ruins your regular season, but you know he'll be back next year. This is now an injury that we don't know if we're going to see Jason Tatum at all next year. If he even comes back, at the earliest he comes back is April, because this is a 6 to 9 month layoff. So it's now May. The earliest he can come back is probably, it's technically February, but it's probably closer to March or April, because that's just, rehab is 6 to 9 months, and then you have to revamp yourself with conditioning and minutes, practicing, everything. This is an injury that you don't touch a basketball for 6 months, 9 months. You're sitting in a cast on the couch with your feet up. And for a 27-year-old in his prime that's on the trajectory to be a Hall of Famer, this might have just ruined all of that. And I'm praying for Jason Tatum. I'm still praying that Jason Tatum's news does not come out. I apologize. Does not come out as an Achilles tear. We'll know. I believe its MRI is scheduled for 10 a.m. today, so I might have a little bit of an update as we go further into the show. But for the time being, after what happened last night, expect the worst is all I can say. If you guys have not seen the injury, go back and watch it. It's hard to watch, but go back and watch it. He pretty much stepped off that back foot and his foot gave out, and it was a non-contact injury. Anytime we see those, it's more times than not Achilles, unfortunately, because it's the Achilles snapping. The second that Achilles snaps, the player falls to the ground and almost always writhes in pain. It's a terrible day to be a Celtics fan. It's a terrible day in Celtics playoff history and Celtics franchise history. We may not see this guy. We may not see the same Jason Tatum that showed up last night ever again, because these injuries, these players don't come back the same. The best case we've seen is Kevin Durant, that kind of showed back, came back as the same player. But when you have a guy like even Kevin Durant, we've seen slippage over the last few years. We know that injury definitely took years off of KD's career in terms of his prime, in terms of his potential. So, yeah. I mean, like I said again, we wish Jason Tatum nothing but the best, but we'll have more information about this as this show draws on. Hopefully around 10:15, I'll have an update on that injury. But that's all I can say right now. Tatum's scary injury. Knicks put the Celtics on the brink of elimination, and I believe this series will end in 5 or 6 games here. But I'm going to take a short break. Coming up next, we're going to switch gears over to the other series last night between the Warriors and Timberwolves. I'm going to come out and say it. There's an APB out for Jimmy Butler. We'll have more to discuss about that. A missing persons report for playoff Jimmy. We have no idea where he is. And we'll have more to discuss about that series in the next segment. You're watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift. Oh,
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mehrob Fatemi. Going into our next segment here, we're going to talk a little bit about the Warriors, Minnesota Timberwolves series. The Timberwolves going up 3-1 now, winning both of the games, sweeping the Warriors on their home floor now in Game 3 and Game 4, have won 3 straight, and have now pushed the Warriors to the brink of elimination. We have a lot to discuss about Jimmy Butler as well as the rest of the Minnesota Timberwolves squad and beyond. But before I move any further, I'd like to remind you guys to please like and follow the show for more GSMC Sports Network content. Also, we get a number of questions from viewers that come in during the show, so to ensure that your question gets read on air, I ask that you use the tips and donations link at gsmcpodcast.net. This puts your question at the top of the list so that I see it. It also really helps out the show. Again, the link is gsmcpodcast.net for all your questions and comments. But let's get right into it here. Before I move into this segment, I want to apologize for a little bit of a somber tone that I have right now. That last segment, this is a tough day for me, so I hope you guys can bear with me as we continue on with the show. I just wanted to let you guys know, because I know most of the time I have some more energy in my voice, but yeah, we talked about it last segment. I'm not going to go back and gloss over it. Back to what I was talking about here. We had, honestly, what I called a must-win game for the Warriors last night, but I guess Jimmy Butler didn't think so. Didn't think the same, because to say that he was missing on the court was an understatement. 5 of 9 shooting. Before I go there, the Timberwolves winning this one 117-101, and honestly, what was the dramatic fashion? Julius Randle going off for 31 points, Anthony Edwards going for 30 points. The star players for the Timberwolves showed up and showed out in a game where they could have put their foot on the Warriors' necks, and they did just that. Then the Warriors are at the Timberwolves' mercy now. The Warriors have to go into Minnesota not once, but twice, and win 3 straight to win this series. They have to win 2 straight to force a Game 7 back in Minnesota, but they have to win 3 straight to win this series. And without Steph Curry in the lineup, I'm just not picking this Warriors team to do it. The Warriors had one job. Let me take a step back here. Before we even look at last night, the Warriors had one job. One. And they got 3 opportunities to do so. Win 1 game, give Steph Curry an opportunity to come back in Game 6, down 3-2, and try and win the series. That was it. It sounds easier said than done, but that was it. You had 3 opportunities to do it. Game 2, Game 3, and Game 4. Game 2, you could say, okay, they lost because, not it was on the Minnesota Timberwolves home floor. Minnesota lost Game 1. If they lost Game 2, the series was pretty much over. I get that 100%. I absolve you of Game 2. You could say that even though you shot horribly and the Timberwolves blew you out, we'll give you guys a pass there. That was Game 2. Game 3, Jimmy Butler gives you his best game, goes off for 37 points, gives you the best opportunity you could have to win the game. Jonathan Kuminga goes off for 30 points. And Buddy Hield and Brandon Podziemski can't hit the backside of a barn. And the Timberwolves win by 5 points. That's Game 3. Now in Game 4, you knew that the Warriors needed to come out and win this game. You knew that the Timberwolves were going to come out and try and put their foot on your neck and try and destroy it. Because if you lost this game, the series was pretty much over. They were trying to end your season last night. Jimmy Butler, playoff Jimmy. You have the title of playoff Jimmy. You are supposed to be the Robin to to Steph Curry's Batman, but we know how you play in the playoffs. We've seen you in the Miami Heat uniform. But when you put on that Miami Heat uniform and you did it for 4 or 5 straight years, we expect that's the standard that you set. That's the expectation now. So let's get into last night's game. 5-9 shooting, 2 of 4 from 3, 14 points. This is Jimmy Butler we're talking about here. This is the same level that we compare Jimmy Butler to the same way we compare, I'm trying to even think, Tyrese Halliburton maybe. You could call you could put Tyrese Halliburton on that list. You could put Donovan Mitchell on the list. You could put Jamal Murray on the list. The elite playoff players in the NBA. That is the category we put Jimmy Butler in. He literally has his name, Playoff Jimmy. And you go off for 14 points when your team needs you most to win a game, and you get blown out by 16 on your home floor and let Steph Curry have to try and will him. Steph Curry is going to do everything in his power to come back in Game 5 now, whether he's healthy or not. And you're going to risk his injury. He's going to risk his own injury. He's going to do it. Because that is who Steph Curry is. He's going to put his body on the line to try and will his team back into the playoff picture, into this series, trying to bring him back. And Jimmy Butler, you had one job. You let Jonathan Kuminga outshoot you. You let Draymond Green put up more shots than you. You let Brandon Pajimski put up more shots than you. You let Buddy Hield put up more shots than you. And you are supposed to be the best player on this team right now without Steph Curry. You are supposed to be the leader. You are supposed to be playoff Jimmy Butler when your team needs you most. Yes, you showed up in Game 3. That was phenomenal. And the team around you did not show up, and it was unfortunate. But you needed to show up tonight. And what did you do instead? You walled over, laid down to the side and said, I don't want to, and put up a solid 14 points. The Warriors are sitting ducks now for the Timberwolves to take care of in Game 5. Even if Steph Curry comes back, maybe they win Game 5, but this series ends in 6. This series is over, though, unfortunately, and this series is over. Plain and simple. I want to say it's unfortunate. It sucks. It's this, that, and the other. And it is. But if we're going to talk about this series right now, if we're going to talk about the Golden State Warriors, we cannot let Jimmy Butler off the hook for this. We can't. As much as I say Jimmy Butler, I like Jimmy Butler. He's one of my favorite players in the NBA. This is something that you're going to hold over him. Because he didn't show up when the Warriors needed him most. Sorry, I have hiccups right now. Excuse me. So, let's recap. Timberwolves are up 3-1. Anthony Edwards, Julius Randle are continuing to show up and show out, looking to punch their ticket to their second straight conference final. And the Warriors are on the brink of elimination. They look like they're sitting ducks. They look like they have no hope to even have a chance to muster a game. They muster one game and then they lose 4 straight. That's what it looks like. And I would be shocked if we see Steph Curry come back in this series. Steph Curry's injury is the best kept secret in San Francisco. We haven't heard a peep about it from anybody, from the locker room all the way through. We saw Jonathan Kuminga, Buddy Hield and Anthony Edwards talking about it, and we tried to do some lips reading. But even then, it looks like Steph Curry will not be back in Game 5. The earliest is Game 6. I still believe that. So that's just the state of affairs in Golden State. And yeah, if they win, we'll have more to talk about for Game 5. But props to the Minnesota Timberwolves continuing to show up and show out, because they absolutely deserve this series win with how they've played all playoffs long. First knocking out the Lakers, now knocking out the Golden State Warriors, 2 teams that were up there in terms of hype to win the NBA championship, especially the Lakers. When you have 2 guys with Julius Randle playing his best playoffs of his career, you have Anthony Edwards showing up to drop 30 points whenever he wants, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Mike Conley. I've said this team is incredibly deep top to top down. You have Jaden McDaniels going off for double-doubles. Like, this is one of the best teams in the West. It truly is. And I'm very happy to see this team playing the way they are, because this is a Timberwolves team that's been knocking on the door for a while now. They lost to the team that went to the NBA Finals last year in the Dallas Mavericks, losing in 5 games. And now, whether they face the Thunder in what would be a fantastic matchup, or they face the Denver Nuggets in what would be a rematch of last year's playoffs, regardless of who it is in the conference finals, it's going to be an unbelievable Western Conference Finals. And I can't wait to start previewing that series, and can't wait for that series to be underway. But, yeah, that's the state of affairs in this series between the Warriors and the Timberwolves. So I'm going to leave it on that note, just because there isn't a whole lot to talk about. I chastised Jimmy Butler for his performance, and the rest of the team, you can't really do so. Draymond Green doing the best he can. Jonathan Kuminga leading the way with 23 points. Whether they decide to trade Jonathan Kuminga in the offseason or not, whatever they decide to do, Jonathan Kuminga is still a good player, and he should be on another team. He should be a startable, if not a 6-man asset for another team. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all transpires in Golden State. But I'm going to leave it on that note. I'm going to take another short break. Coming up next, we're going to switch gears from the NBA playoffs over to the draft lottery. Madness in the draft lottery last night. Cooper Flagg going to a shocking team. Somebody that we didn't even expect to scratch the surface of a top 5 pick. And it kind of shakes up the entire NBA slate. So we'll have a lot to discuss there. You're watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast, presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mehrob Fatemi. Getting into our next segment here, we're going to talk a little bit about the NBA draft lottery. Madness in the lottery last night, with the number 1 overall pick, Cooper Flagg going to a team that we did not even think would scratch the surface as a top 5 pick. Unbelievable picks, unbelievable odds, and yeah, if you bet on this, I'm so sorry, because this did not shake up on anybody's. This was not on anybody's bingo card, let alone myself's. So we'll have a lot to talk about here. But before I move any further, I'd like to remind you guys to please like and follow the show for more GSMC Sports Network content. Also, we get a number of questions from viewers that come in during the show. So to ensure that your question gets read on air, I ask that you use the tips and donations link at gsmcpodcast.net. This puts your question at the top of the list so that I see it, and it also really helps out the show. Again, the link is gsmcpodcast.net for all your questions and comments. But let's get right into it here. Cooper Flagg, one of the biggest names out there in the world in terms of draft, in terms of young prospects. Nobody's been hyped up like this since probably Zion Williamson. And even though that wasn't that long ago, if you guys can think back to how Zion was hyped up out of Duke, he was being talked about as the next LeBron James. And I'm not saying Cooper Flagg is being talked about in that category, but Cooper Flagg is the biggest name prospect since Zion Williamson showed up in the NBA. Zion, this is the same Cooper Flagg that showed up in the 2024 Paris Olympics and brought the United States to a gold medalist that led the team to a gold medal. This is the same Cooper Flagg that's been playing NBA stars since he was a high schooler. If you guys think back to 2020, I believe his highlights are still there in a summer summit game, like a scrimmage game, playing up against NBA star talent as a 15-year-old and absolutely cooking everybody. And when I say cooking, I mean cooking. Like, nobody, I believe Drew Holiday was defending him. He was cooking Drew Holiday. This is Cooper Flagg that we're talking about here, and this is going to be a player. This is a generational talent. Different to how Zion was. Zion was more ferocious, more intense, more physical, more big boy bully style basketball, Shaquille O'Neal style basketball, trying to power his way into the lane. That was Zion Williamson, getting to the interior at will, like an unstoppable freight train. That was Zion Williamson. Cooper Flagg, on the other hand, similar to my guy Jason Tatum, that is a polished shot maker, can also get to the interior, can rebound, can facilitate, can assist. He's an all-around great player. I believe he's around the same height as Jason Tatum. Went to Duke as well, funny enough. And yeah, he's a similar level to Jason Tatum, I'd say. If I could compare him to anybody, I would say Jason Tatum because of the similar styles of basketball play. So that's Cooper Flagg for you. But to start off the order, the Dallas Mavericks getting the number 1 overall pick. And if you guys look at how it was shaking up before the draft was announced, the Mavericks had a 1.8% chance of getting the number 1 overall pick. 1.8. So whether you want to call it rigged, especially with the Luka trade, whether you want to say that there's some shady business happening with Nico Harrison taking the fall in Dallas about the Luka Doncic trade, and now they turn around and get some better luck with Cooper Flagg. A lot of people are saying that Nico Harrison does not deserve good things, nice things. And I don't know if I'll say that, but I will say this. This might have saved Nico Harrison's job. Seriously. This now resets the Dallas Mavericks. This gives you a new franchise player to continue to build around Anthony Davis, Kyrie Irving, Klay Thompson, and the three centers that you have there, and Daniel Gafford, Derek Lively, and PJ Washington. You can go triple big now, which would be unstoppable against anybody in the Western Conference. Whether you want to say that it would hinder your shooting, this, that, and the other, it would not only make your defense that much more potent, but it would make the Western Conference that much more interesting. You add a Cooper Flagg to a Dallas Mavericks squad when you have Luka and LeBron on the team, you have Jamal Murray and Jokic on the team, you have Shea and possibly another player, maybe a Giannis. If you guys did not hear my take on that, go back to my show a couple days ago on, it's now Tuesday. Well, I talked about it on Friday. But there is a world that Giannis can go to OKC. Whether that happens or not, we'll have to keep an eye on that. You have Kawhi and James Harden in the same conference. You have Wembanyama and De'Aaron Fox in the same conference. You have, I didn't mention Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler. You have all around guys that are going to work. You have pairs all across the Western Conference that are going to be incredibly competitive. Then the Western Conference just became that much more interesting, that much more competitive. If the Mavericks can stay healthy, I think they can stack up with anybody in the Western Conference. I seriously believe so. I think that's how good on paper that this Mavericks team looks. So that's my take on the Mavericks. From there, we also had the San Antonio Spurs claim the number 2 overall pick. The San Antonio Spurs were my dark horse to land Cooper Flagg, and if they had, God help us all if the San Antonio Spurs got Cooper Flagg. I think the rest of the league would have been destroyed and over. However, I will say this. As much as I say Cooper Flagg is a better player, Dylan Harper out of Rutgers may be the better fit for San Antonio. You have Wembanyama. This is another team that Giannis's name is linked to, so we'll have to continue to watch that. Let's say Giannis goes to San Antonio. You have Wemby, you have Giannis, you have De'Aaron Fox at the 1, and then you have Devin Vassell at the 2 or 3. You put Dylan Harper anywhere else in that starting 5, either 2 or 3, and this team is an instant contender. Instant. Dylan Harper is a two-way player. He's a shooter, I believe. And he's a player that is continuing that really impressed people in Rutgers. He's really one of those players that can play at that level. So if I'm thinking about the San Antonio Spurs under a new head coach, I seriously think that they can really prove to be one of those teams that can knock off a great team. Dylan Harper, a 19-year-old, young 6'7", can play incredibly well. This is a player that is going to continue to show up and show out. And with the way he's able to shoot, the way he's able to rebound, the way he's able to assist, shooting 48% from the field last year at Rutgers. I'm just trying to figure out. I was looking at his stats really quick. I apologize for that. But Dylan Harper is one of those players that is going to continue to play at a high level. I really believe so. I really think that he is he's going to be a star talent. And the Spurs may have just gotten themselves the neck. I didn't even mention Steven Castle. Okay, so this team is even scarier then. Get Devin Vassell out of here and plug in Steven Castle, the rookie of the year. So this is what I mean when I say the Spurs and the Western Conference is continuing to heat up. I think the Spurs might have gotten a better draw than with. Of course, you want Cooper Flagg on your team, but if you can with Dylan Harper, who's able to shoot the ball, you add another shooter to this team. I think it would really help as a 3-point threat. So we'll keep our eyes on that. But I like the Spurs with this pick. I really do. From there, we move to 3. We had the Philadelphia 76ers land the 3rd pick. It's going to be interesting to see who they draft. A team that's really been riddled with injuries all season long. Obviously, Joel Embiid. They signed Paul George to a massive contract extension. He was injured early on. It's going to be interesting to see what they end up doing with him. Tyrese Maxey injured early on. Jared McCain played phenomenal without their guys in the lineup, but Jared McCain also getting injured. But the Philadelphia 76ers have a squad. They really do. They have a great starting lineup. I just named it. If they want to put Jared McCain at the 2, that would be interesting. I don't think they would run the double point guard. They would probably run McCain off the bench to start at least the start of the season. But you put Maxey at the 1. You put whoever they draft. They should probably draft a shooter at the 2. You put Paul George at the 3 with somebody else at the 4, and then Joel Embiid at the 5. That's a great starting lineup right there. So I think the Sixers can be competitive next year as long as they continue to perform at a high level. I think they have the assets to do so. I think they have the talent to do so. But it all comes down to how they play. It all comes down to who they draft. And when I was first thinking about this, there was 2 guys that I was really thinking about. I think was he out of Houston? Who am I thinking of? Oh, I'm thinking of the big man out of Auburn, Johnny Broome. They should either draft Johnny Broome, that might be a crazy call, or you draft, I think, a Christian Youngblood out of Alabama. I'm not sure if Youngblood is going to be available in this year's draft, but those are the 2 guys that comes to mind in terms of just like quickly off the top of my head players that I think would really help the Sixers team. I think another big man to go along with Joel Embiid would really help him a lot. Take some of that load off of Joel Embiid. Give him more space. Give him more patience to work with. So that's just my take on it. A power forward could really go a long way for the Sixers team. But that's 3. And to close it all out, I believe want to say something and be wrong. I was right. Okay. I was going to say Utah that got the 4th pick, but I always forget. I always mix up either 4 or 5. It was Charlotte. Charlotte got the 4th pick. The Hornets, obviously, dealing with a lot of injuries with LaMelo Ball. Miles Bridges' contract being a big question mark in this offseason. Obviously, Mark Williams dealing with a lot, especially with the Los Angeles Lakers trade. The Lakers revoking that trade because of his physical. There's a lot of things happening behind the scenes in Charlotte right now. But I think this pick could be great for them. This is an NBA draft that is very deep. And I think if they can land, also similar to what I said about the Sixers, this is without Dallas. This is in terms of legitimate contention for the number 1 overall pick. I thought the Hornets had the best, were the best destination for Cooper Flagg to go to, especially playing with LaMelo Ball, playing with Mark Williams, playing with Miles Bridges. If they could continue to grow that team, I think the Hornets could be a good team for picking out from the big 3 over there. That 15% chances to get the number 1 overall pick in Utah, Washington, and Charlotte. I had San Antonio as my dark horse, but I never thought in my wildest dreams that Dallas would get that 1st pick. I really never thought it. It never crossed my mind. And for it to now happen the way it has, major props to them. Nico Harrison, major props to you. You're continuing. You will most likely keep your job with this, but it gives you some insurance on your job. But I think the team to benefit the most from this, I think, is really the San Antonio Spurs with Dylan Harper. I like Dylan Harper a lot with this team, and I think he could show up and show out and put the Spurs over the top, especially with a young Wembanyama, especially with a healthy De'Aaron Fox, would be able to learn from a young De'Aaron Fox in the middle of his prime. And then if they're able to draft a Giannis, I think that would put them even more over the top. And honestly, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But that's my take on it. It was madness in the lottery last night, and it's gonna be interesting to see how this draft shakes up. The NBA draft will take place later next month as well. But I'm gonna take another short break. Coming up next, we're gonna start previewing the rest of the series later tonight, starting with the Pacers-Cavs, a series that we haven't really expected to go the way it has, but in a way we have. In a way, you can see there was a way that we could have forecasted it. And we'll talk a little bit more about this as we preview Game 5 later tonight between these two teams. You're watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, presented by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mehrob Fatemi. Getting into our next segment here, we're going to talk a little bit about the Indiana Pacers-Cleveland Cavaliers series, a series that is continuing to shock people around the Eastern Conference and around the NBA in general. A Pacers team that's continuing to shock the world with their youth, with their experience, gaining experience on the fly, just really putting their team on their back, using their depth, and showing why team basketball is better than star in top-level basketball. Or not top level, but top-heavy basketball. Big threes don't work against this Pacers team, and that's the biggest thing that they're showing here. If we think back to how the Celtics beat them last year, not only will any Celtics fan say that it was one of the craziest, toughest 4-game series that we've ever seen. But this was a Pacers team that fought tooth and nail against them. and they've fought tooth and nail all playoffs long. Coming back from multiple crazy deficits in the last minute, multiple 5 to 7 point deficits. Obviously coming back from 20 points down twice now, once in Game 2 against the Cavs and once in Game 5 against the Milwaukee Bucks. This is the Pacers team that looks to claim their spot in the Eastern Conference Finals. And they're going up against a team in the Cleveland Cavaliers that's really riddled with injuries. This is a Cavs team with Darius Garland that's pretty much playing with one leg right now. Well, not one leg, but playing with a broken toe, which if you don't know is one of the most excruciating pains out there. You have Evan Mobley that's playing on a bad hamstring, and you're missing a key bench piece in DeAndre Hunter. Oh, wait, did I forget to mention? Donovan Mitchell also got hurt in Game 4, tweaking his ankle. Now, they are saying that it's just an ankle tweak, but if I'm being fully honest, I just saw the clip for the first time last night. I'm not 100% sure if this is just an ankle tweak. If you guys look back at how this happened, Donovan Mitchell simply just trying to take a shot and then looked down and grabbed his leg. That's literally what happened. So, I'm not saying that he tore his Achilles or anything, but I would be lying if I said it wasn't more. I'll be lying if I said I would be lying if I said I didn't think it was more than an ankle sprain. They're ruling it as just an ankle sprain, ankle injury right now. Something tells me this is worse than that. And Donovan Mitchell did not return to Game 4 either. Not that it mattered. The Pacers were up by 40 at halftime, but that definitely put the rest of the series in jeopardy for the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think the Pacers probably cruise to a win tonight. Even though it's in Cleveland, I think they win tonight pretty decisively by 10 to 15 points. They've been the better team all series long. Even when Donovan Mitchell went off for 40 points, it only really worked one time in Game 3. I don't think they're able to replicate that. And the Pacers, the only way to beat this Pacers team, it really seems like you have to beat them by scoring the basketball. You have to beat them at their own game to have an opportunity to even have a glimpse of a chance to beat this team. When you have a team in the Pacers that's able to go 4-man deep, and be able to, wait, did I say, not 4-man deep? I don't know what I'm thinking. I'm saying, when you have a Pacers team that's able to go 7-man deep, that can go double digits. In Game 4, you had 7 guys for the Pacers go for 10-plus points. You had 3 guys go off for 20-plus points. None of them named Tyrese Halliburton. That is how good this Pacers team is. They just take turns in terms of who's the leading scorer, who wants to take the reins today, who wants to get some more shots up. They don't really, and they're incredibly unselfish around one another. So, this is a Pacers team that's going to be around for a while, I think, especially with their youth. They remind me a lot of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Of course, the Thunder have the MVP candidate in Shea, and Shea is definitely head and shoulders in terms of basketball offensive efficiency than Tyrese Halliburton. But Halliburton is great in his own way. He really is. When you have Halliburton that's able to go off for a double-double with assists whenever he wants, I've said it before on the show. He reminds me of an offensive-only Magic Johnson. He really does. The way he's able to shoot the ball, the way he's able to finish, the way he's able to pass, the way he's able to facilitate, the way he's able to work the offense and make the guys around him better. That is what Magic Johnson did. And Magic Johnson played defense as well and was a phenomenal defensive player. Halliburton does not do that. But offensively, he reminds me so much of Magic Johnson. And I can't wait to see this Halliburton succeed. And I think they're going to claim their spot in the Eastern Conference Finals tonight. But I also would not be shocked if the Cavs won and push this series back to Indiana for a Game 6. I don't expect them to just fall over, but without Donovan Mitchell in the lineup, this is pretty much an exact same situation to what Boston is about to deal with and what Golden State has been dealing with. This is an Indiana Pacers squad that is that is like a shark in blood-infested waters that is out there and ready to end the series, ready to punch their ticket to the next round and try and exceed expectations from last year. They made it to the Eastern Conference Finals last year and got bounced in 4 games by Boston. Now that Boston is 95% of the way out, they're not 100%, but they're 95% of the way out. If that continues, if that trajectory continues, and the Knicks end up winning that series, and we end up seeing Pacers Knicks in the conference finals, I'm probably picking the Pistons. I'm probably picking the Pacers to win that series in 6 games and claim their spot in the NBA Finals, which would be crazy for an Indiana Pacers squad that has not seen a whole lot of success since the days of Reggie Miller back in the day, in the 90s. So that's just my take on it. This Pacers team is playing incredibly well right now. And yeah, I think they're really going to end this series tonight in Cleveland. So yeah, that's just my take on it. And if we want to preview, maybe not preview, but let's say the Cavs sorry about that, guys. Let's say the Cavs even have an opportunity to win the series, I think it comes down to the play of Darius Garland to have a chance, Isaac Okoro, Max Strus, Donovan Mitchell obviously needs to play at a high level, but I don't think he can. I really think he's hobbled right now. I think he's going through a lot. I don't think he's going to be able to take care of business the way we think he can. So I got the Cavs probably falling in game 5 tonight. And yeah, I think the Pacers punch their ticket to the next round. But I'm going to take a short break. Coming up next, we're going to talk a little bit about the Oklahoma City Thunder Denver Nuggets series, a massive Game 5 coming down the pipe tonight, and what is going to be it's probably the biggest game of the NBA playoffs. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Nikola Jokic, the MVP race at its finest. Both teams have been flopping back and forth, winning games. Game 1 to Denver, Game 2 to OKC. Same with Game 3 and Game 4 in that exact same order. If all goes well, it should be Denver again tonight. But this is a Game 5 and a 2-2 series that is now pretty much best of 3. Every game is crucial, and whoever wins tonight goes up 3-2 and puts the other on the brink of elimination. That is why tonight is so crucial. That is why momentum is going to be huge. It has been so huge in this series. I still believe this series goes 7, but we have a lot to talk about in the next segment. You're watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mehrob Fatemi. Getting into our next segment here, we're going to talk a little bit about the Oklahoma City Thunder and Denver Nuggets series. And as you can see from the headline, this is, in my opinion, the biggest game of the NBA playoffs so far. This is between two teams that are so evenly matched, it feels like, with Jokic, Chet Holmgren, Jamal Murray, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and then the role players around both teams that are stepping up big, massive for both teams. You have Jalen Williams on one side. You have Aaron Gordon on the other. You have Michael Porter Jr. You have Isaiah Hartenstein. You have Russell Westbrook. You have Aaron Wiggins on the other. Like, this is a series that is going back and forth between two teams that are playing incredible basketball. Both sides. The Nuggets playing, obviously, just knocked out the Clippers in the first round, are continuing to play high-level basketball right now. Oklahoma City, that's playing at a high level right now. Shai, obviously the MVP of the league right now. Not obviously, but we're 98% of this, 98% sure that he is going to come away with the MVP trophy for this season. Jokic has won 3 MVPs in his tenure in the NBA. Is labeled as the best player in the NBA right now. Even though some players are even though some people are saying that he isn't playing at that level right now, because he just quickly in the last 3 games he shot 33% and had 16 turnovers total. That is not typical Jokic basketball that we know. And I expect him to kind of have a little bit of a bounce back game tonight. If the Nuggets want to win tonight, it's going to be on the back of Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. It really has to be. The star players are going to show up and show out tonight. The same way last night in New York, between Boston and New York. It was Jason Tatum versus Jalen Brunson down the stretch. It was Jaylen Brown versus Mikal Bridges. It was Derek White against Karl-Anthony Towns. The star players show up in big moments, and that is what it's going to come down to tonight. I still believe in my X factor in Aaron Gordon. I think he is still the X factor of this series. If he can go off for 20 points and 10 rebounds, like when he has those shooting games where he's able to go 4 for 7 from 3, 3 for 7 from 3, 4 for 8 from 3, 5 for 9 from 3, something like that, this Nuggets team is borderline impossible to beat. That is how good they are when they play at their best. So I think the combination of him with Nikola Jokic, if he's able to have that 20-point, 10-rebound game, probably closer to 30 and 10 game. Jamal Murray can pitch in another 20, 25 points. Michael Porter Jr. can do another 10 to 15 points. Russell Westbrook can go off for 10 to 15 points. I think that's Nuggets basketball at its best, at its purest, and that is the Nuggets team that I know can pretty much beat anybody in the Western Conference. That is the Nuggets team that can go all the way to the NBA Finals and win the whole thing if they play at that level. Problem is, they don't always play at that level. Sometimes guys take days off, whether it's a Jamal Murray sometimes, whether it's a Michael Porter Jr. We've seen Aaron Gordon get taken out of the series against the Clippers for the most part. Outside of, I think, of course, that game winner in Game 4. But outside of that Game 7 as well. I'd say Game 7 was probably his best performance outside of the game winner that he had. But in this series against the Thunder, Aaron Gordon has been much more potent. And whether that has to do with size difference in the paint or whatnot, leaving him open in the corners, letting him shoot it, whatever it might be, Aaron Gordon needs to continue to play at the high level that he's been playing at if they want to beat the Oklahoma City Thunder in this series. The Thunder obviously still one of the youngest teams in the NBA. I said it before the playoffs started. I really thought the expectations that we threw on this Thunder team, I thought it was a little unfair. I thought it was a little too much for a young team like them to handle. And it might be a hot take, and I 100% get it. I don't discredit anything of what you're saying. But this is a Thunder team that is still lacking that number 2 option. And a little bit of, if you guys tuned into me and Jeremy's podcast last night, I kind of want to discuss something that we discussed on the podcast that kind of opened my eyes a little bit. This is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander that was in the exact same spot that he's in right now last year against the Dallas Mavericks. The Mavericks in the second round were tied 2-2 with them. Going back to Dallas going back to Oklahoma City for Game 5. And it was a play of Luka Doncic, the best player probably in the world that year, if not on the floor. Him and Jokic were on a different level last year. It was either, I would say Luka has an argument for best player in the world last year between him and Jokic. But that's another conversation for another day. It was the play of Luka Doncic down the stretch that put the Mavericks over the Thunder. And it was also the lack per se of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in terms of talent, in terms of the way we know he can play, that we were missing from him. So there could be a label that could be circulating. I still think that this Thunder team is missing a number 2 option, and it's going to be the reason why they don't win a championship this year. I think they have a great team. They have great pieces around Shai. They have Chet. They have young pieces. They're the youngest team in the NBA. But they're missing the number 2 reliable scorer. Jalen Williams in Game 4, only 10 points. If you want to win this series, Jalen Williams, you have to play at a higher level. I know the Thunder won Game 4, but they won it by the skin of their teeth. They really did. And you know Jokic is not going to continue to play at this level. So we know Jokic is due for a bounce back game. I would not be shocked if it's tonight. And I think it's going to come down to his play, how the Thunder go about the rest of this series. It's going to be between Jokic and Shai tonight. Who is going to step up? Who's going to show out? If the Thunder lose and Shai absolutely shows out, goes off for 35, 40 points, and has a great game, then we have nothing to say. We say, Shai, it's not your fault. You did the best you could. This team needs a number 2 option. However, if you go out there and you don't show up, you play the same way Jimmy Butler played last night, or you only have 20 to 25 points, inefficient shooting night, and the Nuggets blow your doors off in OKC, which could happen. Do not be shocked if people start saying playoff choker Shai, or this, that, and the other. This Thunder team, we should have never thought about them at this level. They're not that good. They were a regular season team. The free throw merchant call-outs. This, that, and the other. Do not be shocked if that comes out. If OKC gets blown out in Game 5. If Shai does not play at the high level that we know he can play at. Jokic, I trust Jokic. I trust Jamal Murray. I trust this Nuggets team to show up when it matters most. They have that championship pedigree. They won it 2 years ago. Last year was a little bit of an abnormality, losing Game 7 the way they did. Even though I think they're better this year than they were last year. I think the addition of Russell Westbrook really helps this team a lot, especially off the bench, giving Jamal Murray some rest. But it comes down to the play of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the rest of this Thunder squad, specifically Shai. And on the other side, if Jokic, you would continue to play at that 33% from the field percentage, 16 turnovers in 3 games. If you continue on that trajectory, if you continue on that pattern, you're gonna hear that. You're gonna hear the noise that possibly you're not the best player in the world. People are gonna start questioning you, especially if you go down 3-2 in this series and it's your fault because you don't show up. So this is a double-sided sword. I really believe that these two teams are so evenly matched. These are two teams that emulate each other in terms of depth, in terms of play, in terms of course, leaders, and beyond. I think it's really going to be a close game. And I mean, I like the Nuggets to still win this. I like the Nuggets to win this series. I like them to win Game 5. But I can't count out OKC. I think this is a 50-50 coin flip. And whoever wins Game 5 will most likely win the series. Whether it is OKC or Denver. I could see OKC. I don't know. I'm definitely think about it this way. I was more confident in the winner of Game 5 last night. Am I lagging? Okay. I was more confident in the winner of Game 4 last night between the Knicks and Celtics, whoever won that game, to win the series, than I do Game 5 tonight between the Thunder and Nuggets. I think these two teams are so mentally, they're grit, they're built on grit, grind, talent, and beyond, star talent. And they're incredibly deep, both teams. So I think both teams have an opportunity here. And yeah, Shea, show up. If you don't, you're gonna hear it. Jokic, show up. If you don't, you're gonna get questioned. That is the argument here. I think both stars are gonna show up, but it comes down to the star players around them as well. It comes down to Jamal Murray. It comes down to Aaron Gordon. It comes down to Chet Holmgren. It comes down to Lou Dort. Jalen Williams. We need more than 10 points. If you want to be a legitimate number 2 option for this Thunder team, you cannot have 10 points in a Game 4. Regardless of win or lose, you need to have more than 10 points. You need to play at a better level. You need to play more efficiently offensively. So that's just my take on it. But those two games kicking off later tonight. Obviously, I think the Pacers have more of an opportunity. I'm more confident in the Pacers knocking off the Cavs tonight and punching their way into the conference finals. In the other game, I'm picking the Nuggets to win Game 5. We'll see if my predictions were right. I was 0-2 last night with the Celtics and Warriors. We'll see if I can turn that around tonight with these picks. But thank you guys for tuning into the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. We appreciate your support beyond everything. We greatly appreciate you guys' support. So please remember to leave a positive review in the comments below. Whether it's positive, whether it's negative, let us know what we're doing well. Let us know what we can improve upon and beyond. We are continuing. Let us know how we can create a better product so we can continue to entertain and let us know what you guys want to hear more of in general to create a better product for you guys. For more content and updates, be sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Snapchat for more content and updates. Thank you guys for watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast. We have 2 more games later tonight. Really quickly, I will check the news on Jason Tatum before I hop off of here, just because I really want to see how this is all transpiring in Boston. I don't think it's come out yet. Let me check really quickly. I apologize, guys. I want to see if there's any latest news about Jason Tatum. And it doesn't look like I'm seeing any. I can't remember. Oh well. I'm trying to. There's a Celtics beat reporter. I'm trying to think of his name. I'll probably do a short about it. But thank you guys for watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast. Thoughts and prayers with Jason Tatum. Hopefully it's not an Achilles injury. We wish him nothing but the best. I'm going to be wearing this all day. I'm going to just appreciate Jason Tatum for the rest of the day. Tune in tomorrow as well at 9 a.m. Same time as always. Hopefully I go 2 for 2 with my picks. This is Mehrob Fatemi, the host of the GSMC Basketball Podcast, signing off. Bye-bye.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn, ain't that great.